Storytelling exists since before we learn how to write. It is one of the most important things we have ever done in our entire story, since our roots until nowadays. Let me tell you a story. When I was in kindergarten, about 10 years ago, I have written a story since I always loved to write stories. I have created characters, I have had ideas, I have planned places and lots of things in story. It is absolutely magical what stories can do to our lives. So the story I have written was read even by the principal. Couldn't believe that the story he was reading was written by a 4-year-old, and he was very surprised. So the story ended up being read by the entire school. Everybody wanted to read my story. That's an interesting story, but I have noticed something in the last few years. Storytelling receives much less attention than it should, and it's not taken that seriously. First of all, storytelling is important to develop writing abilities. You will need writing abilities in your whole lifetime. Since writing a document, writing a test, you can do anything with storytelling. You can do whatever you want. You can use something called creativity too. That is key in storytelling, to plan stories. Stories of fiction, real stories, there are all kinds of stories that you can read around the world. You can use the creativity to plan places, to fix your characters, to draw them. You can use to plan designs, characteristics, places, whatever, time periods. You can do really whatever you want with storytelling. Now, we need to understand the roots of storytelling and some interesting facts about it. I have separated 2 of them that I found really interesting. According to chc.org, the first book to have ever been published and in press was the Holy Bible by the German inventor Johannes Gutenberg in 1455, using what we call today a printer, the very first model of a printer. The oldest written source we found yet are parts of poems by a king of Mesopotamia around 3,500 years ago, using the cuneiform language. The cuneiform language is not a language that is used nowadays. It's a dead language. So what does that mean? It means that storytelling exists since a long time and we have always used it. We have always found ways to put our thoughts, to create stories, always found ways to put it in paper. Now, I am going to talk about the main point of my speech. ChatGPT, the arch nemesis of creativity and storytellers. You see, approximately 300 million people are official writers nowadays. It seems like a very large number, and it is a large number, but compared to what we have ever had in Earth, it's a very small number. I fear that this number will only fall in the next years, since we have ChatGPT. ChatGPT and other artificial intelligences are dominating the world nowadays. They are writing essays, they are writing stories, they are planning everything in human life. So you might think, why do I need to buy a $50 book that has like 1,000 pages when I can only type it on ChatGPT and it writes it all by himself? Well, we need to develop our brain. We need to develop our creativity. If we don't develop these abilities, ChatGPT and other artificial intelligences are gonna overtake the world of literature, and we need it. Well, there's also the movie part. Movies are actually interesting because although they are nice and they give you some good ideas, books that usually do not have images or any visual sources are better to develop your imagination and, consequently, develop your writing abilities and storytelling. We need to understand that books in general have always been used to pass information, and the artificial intelligences are just making it too easy. Books are permanent in our story. We cannot change it. ChatGPT may change it forever, since we can only type some things and it writes all by themselves. But what I wanted to say, movies are worse than books to tell stories because they have always an image on the screen that you can only watch. You don't need to think of anything. You don't need to put your creativity to the test and think of how it is. You can only watch it and you don't need to develop the creativity since you are only going to watch. So when you read a book that does not have images, some kinds of people can have different thoughts, like the character's appearance, the place, the type of houses, and whatever. To finish my speech, I will leave a mission for you. Read more, write more, so then you deliver your abilities to people and It will put your imagination and creativity to the test. So think productive. Try to make a change. Try to be better. Be a better person. Be a better storyteller. Develop creativity. Have the interest. In general, be a better storyteller. Thank you.